conversation are we having? That is a jewel with 100 facets. So we could look at this conversation from so many different angles. I want to start off by just naming a couple of the facets. Okay. One facet of the conversation is this conversation is about a strategy and a commitment to connect our personal development process with the development of our society. So that those things are fused together. And to contextualize that by our own political organizing. That's kind of one facet. Another facet is you can use various different developmental models, and spiral dynamics, the integral model, is one model of mapping the process of cognitive development. And within that model, there's a reference to Tier 1 and Tier 2. And one of the fundamental distinctions between Tier 1 and Tier 2 from a cognitive development standpoint is when a person starts to be able to see things from multiple perspectives. They've actually got out of the obsession of just seeing the world one way and can see the world the way that they see it, but can also see the world that other people see it as well. And so another way of kind of labeling this conversation about bringing that political conversation into Tier 2 and building a network and organizing around the ability to look at any issue and all issue from multiple perspectives, as opposed to that traditional duality, right, wrong, good, bad, standard political narrative. Another way of kind of starting this conversation is talking about the establishment of an island of coherence. As the world is having an increased amount of chaos for so many reasons, and we're undergoing profound transformation in all kinds of different ways, technological transformation, human population's increasing, we have threatened, degrading ecosystems, we have a tremendous amount of suffering in the world, much of which is driven and caused by systems that humans have created. And amongst all of that, it's the establishment, the unfurling of an island of energetic coherence, of people that are coming together, holding both love and power in relationship with each other in ever-growing quantities. So that while it seems like there might not be sanity in the world or real leadership in the world, that there actually is pockets and networks of people coming together and holding those frequencies of love and power together. I think the last way of kind of labeling what this is all about is, I think everybody has, to some degree, their own process of spiritual development. And if you're totally atheist, empirical, kind of Newtonian physics type of person, even just that person of your own increased awareness and individual development. And this is a conversation around taking that spiritual expansion, that journey, as our awareness expands, we perceive more, we sense more, we connect to more, we understand more, we have deeper insights. And having a channel for that expanded spiritual journey to fully integrate all the way into government, all the way into our political organizing, all the way into our municipality. So there's not a wall that disconnects and creates separation between my spiritual experience and what I see in government, what I see in politics. So it's about cracking that open. It's removing those barriers. That energy between our spirituality and our political participation can be able to flow naturally. Those are some of the facets to start to talk about, start to approach what this is all about, what One Nation is all about. One of my favorite places to start this conversation is to just bring in the word politics right into the center, right? Because there was even a reference just a couple minutes ago that we don't like that word. Maybe that word's the wrong word. That word has so much connotation around it. And for a lot of people, the word politics has become synonymous with backbiting or vying for power or hypocrisy or money games or corruption. But that's not what politics is. That's a relatively recent cultural connotation we've applied to the word because our politics is a reflection of that. And a lot of other people put politics as synonymous with government. That's also not getting to the heart of what politics actually means. When you go into politics, the root is polis, which is a Greek word, and it means city, or my city, or the place that I call home. And what politics has been, the origination of the word, is that reference to that care and that love and that stewardship. I care about this place that I call home. I care about these people that I share this home with. I care about the land and the plants and the animals in this place that I call home. And so I'm going to step up and do something about that. To me, that's what politics is. It's a powerful word. It's a noble word. It's a word worthy of being in relationship with it. And it's a word worthy of reclaiming it. It's a word worthy of reclamation, despite the popular use of the word, and despite so many of our aversions to that word. And so when I say that One Nation is a political party, I'm saying that this is a party, this is an organization, this is a network, this is a celebration of people who say, I love this place so much. This place called Austin, this place called Texas, this place called America, this place called Earth. I love this place so much that I'm willing to step up and just manifest that love in some way, to be able to weave my love through action into the fabric of this place that I call home, such that that which I love and cherish is protected, and that which I want is possible for myself, my family, all people, and all generations of all people, and all generations of all life. So that's my invitation tonight. If we could walk away with one thing, it would be to be able to see the possibility. We could be proud of the word politics. We could be proud of the concept of political organizing. We could be proud and excited about being a part of a network who shares that same love for this place called home, that they're doing something about it. And what is that something about it? And tonight I want to talk about both individual politics and collective politics. And I think that we can take the word individual politics with this definition, with this reclaimed relationship to the word politics, and bring it into the conversation around purpose, into the conversation around dharma, into the conversation around contribution, right? So if politics is loving this place so much, they're willing to do something about it, and that really is a conversation around individual purpose and what roles you have, what codes you carry, what skills you have, what unique life experience you're holding, what genius is living inside of you, expressed or latent. Right? That's the conversation around individual politics. And One Nation is a network of people that are taking individual politics very seriously and saying, what is my expression of love and contribution and service? And how can I find the ways that I've been aligned with that individual contribution and service, and how have I not yet been fully showing up? And how am I still yet to lean in a little bit more? Maybe take a risk a little bit more. Maybe go all in, make a commitment, make a devotion a little bit more, to play that game of individual politics and contribution as deeply aligned with a person's individual integrity and consciousness as possible. So much so that we really can finish every day and say, you know, if I died tonight, I'll know that I was in the zone. I'll know that I didn't leave anything on the table. I put it all on the field, coach. And getting into relationship with our own mortality and with our own reality that none of us are promised tomorrow. So how can we play that individual politics game, that contribution game, so fervently, so ferociously, that we feel that level of confidence and relaxation that every day is as good as day to go than any others. And One Nation is about weaving together a growing network of people who are playing that all-in game. All in for their whole world, all in for all of life. And then we now want to kind of like look over this concept of collective politics. Great, so then what can we do as individuals? And now what can we do at a collective level? At a collective of 2, at a collective of 150, at a collective of 1 million, and at a collective of 7 billion. Like, what are these collective expressions of love of this place, love of our nation, love of our world, love of our planet? And how do we come together to achieve these particular outcomes, right? So One Nation is about really being in deep, fervent relationship to the conversation around collective politics. And it's about totality. It's about holism. It's about not doing this with anything, right? Not saying, okay, this is the conversation I want to have, and I don't really want to look at that. I don't really want to talk about that stuff. I'm not really vibing with that over there. One Nation is just saying, you know what? We're beyond that. We've got to crack the whole conversation. We've got to bring everything in to the conversation. And that includes government. And there's a lot of people that we interact with that are on a path of deep innovation at levels of technology, at levels of consciousness, at levels of social organization. And a lot of those people seem to have this aversion to government, as though it's a system that's just going to go away tomorrow and be replaced by some blockchain solution that's going to make all of our existing government systems obsolete, or something like that. And it's an invitation to say, we know, and we get fully, that there's an inadequacy, there's an inherent inadequacy in our existing government system. But we also know that it is. It is. It's here. It's completely expressed and manifest and pervasive around this world, and it's not going to go away just because we put our heads in the sand. So, okay, what do we do about it? How do we form right relation to the fact that there are these things called municipalities? There's thousands of them. And there's these things called counties, and these things called states, and these things called nations, and I don't think they're going away tomorrow. So how do we make sure that as we're inventing a future that might look completely transformed from the experience we're experiencing today, including how governance and social organizing works, how do we make sure that we're simultaneously integrating with the world as it is, grounding those big visions into the now? And I believe it's not until we get the rubber hitting the road on how the world is right now and engaging with it as it is, that we'll then be able to unlock the visions that we have for the future. It doesn't mean that everybody has to run for office in our existing government system. It means that we need to be inclusive of government as it is, as we consider the world as it is and how we want it to become. And so One Nation is a conversation around collective politics, both to invent a systemic transformed world, a world that works for everyone, a world where we've actually invented a world where love and power are fully integrated in every system of humanity. And also coming into the game on, well, who is the mayor of Austin? And we care about that too. And what are the policies and the legislation at the local and regional and state levels. What are the implications of that? And we care about that too. And by bringing together and weaving our individual politics, our individual developmental process, and our individual purpose, conjoining them with a network so we can get into the collective politics conversation, both the invention of the future as well as the meeting fully the world as it is. Well, now we've got something really rich to be able to work with. We've got a network with a lot of dimensionality to it. And One Nation isn't about having all of the answers or the solutions, but it's pointing to the way. It's pointing to the way that we do this thing that we all want to do. The way that we organize, the way that we gather, the way that we meet the world as it is, and the way that we transform the world into what it can become. And so we formed a new political party. It's in its proto stages. And the purpose of doing that, we don't need a political party in order to organize a network of people. We don't need a political party in order to have a conversation on individual politics and individual purpose. We don't need a political party in order to come together and say, how can we all grow and evolve together and care about the world? But by creating it as a political party, we get all of that. We don't lose any of that. But we also get ballot access. We also get voter block. We also get community organizing in order to achieve political outcomes in the world and as the world is today. And so we're building and establishing and launching this organization so that we can have it all. So we're not just a very deep conversation around love, but the sheriffs are still the other people that don't get it, and the mayors still don't get it, and the president still doesn't get it. No, we just have become the sheriff, and we've become the mayor, and we've become the president. And so now it's not about having these signs outside of City Hall. It's about just becoming City Hall. I love the scene at the end of The Matrix, first one. You've got the main character, Neo. He's running from the agents, and his peers tell him, you can't beat the agents. All you can do is run from them. Just aversion at the full scale. Avoid, avoid, avoid. And then finally, at the end of that scene, he just, what if that's not true? What if I don't have to just avoid the thing? And he stops running, a real dramatic kind of slow-mo way. He turns around. He starts dodging the bullets, not that big of a deal. And then he approaches Agent Smith. He approaches the bad guy. And he doesn't even fight him. He just enters inside of him. And he splinters him into light from the inside out.
That's key.
And so that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? There's no fight and there's no avoidance. There's just organizing and becoming. We have approached a moment in time as humanity, congratulations, brothers and sisters, where no incremental change is sufficient. There's no policy modification over here or budget allocation over there that if we just get that right, if we just get red and blue to agree on just one thing, we get such and such incremental issue right. Even one of the big ones, even universal basic income or universal health care. I don't care how big you go. There's not one particular thing that if we just get that right, we're going to be in the clear. We, as a society, are careening off of multiple cliffs simultaneously.
Yeah.
We have some very challenging global financial times ahead, potentially a massive financial collapse. We have some very concerning international violence situation. These nuclear warheads, not a small deal. They're actually a really big deal. Nuclear power plants being stewarded well, really big deal. But we also have ecological destruction and degradation happening at extremely alarming rates. Some people say we're already past the point of no return, and this is humanity's farewell tour. Other people think that we're at a point where maybe some of those issues can be mitigated and reversed with extreme organization and coordination. Either way, there's no incremental change that can matter. And so I will posit to say that we must be in a conversation around full systemic transformation. The transformation of how we organize people, how we organize resources, how we relate to ecology. All the core systems and structures that got us here aren't going to be the ones that get us to where we're going. Dare I say this utopic future? Dare I say heaven on earth? Dare I say a world that works for all? But if we want to create that, we actually need to take all the lessons learned from ancient society and modern society, put them all on a really big whiteboard, and begin reinventing and running experiments on a rebirth world. So I would say that the political topics that we're calling political in our current system are all inadequate. They're so inadequate that we must abandon them. They're actually dangerous, because by focusing on some of the issues that are on the topic today, while we're real riled up and we have a lot of reason to think that they really matter, they're actually taking the attention away from the conversations we need to be having in order to move us towards systemic transformation. And it's not going to happen because we got the politics in the current definition of the term, the governmental politics right. Because our economic system is stronger than our political system, and our economic system will abuse and manipulate whatever political system we create. Okay, so we've got to transform our economic system. There are no tweaks we can make to our economic system, even real big ones, even conscious capitalism or full-out unregulated capitalism or socialism or communism. There's no tweaks we can make to our economic model, because what's stronger than our economic model is our cultural model. It's how we are programmed. It's the decisions that we make as individuals, and it's the values that we have. And at the center of that cultural conversation, there's this dynamic that's genetic. It's been with us from the beginning. And it's what we call the win-lose, us versus them cultural dynamic. This win-lose dynamic, us versus them, it is responsible for the survival of our species and our tribes. It got us here. And we could map that out historically and anthropologically and say, thank you for this genetic propensity to create an in-group and an out-group, because that was an integral part of the survival of our species. But right now, we've hit a moment in time where that which was a survival mechanism has become a destruction mechanism, and win-lose is now becoming lose-lose. We're starting to get past the point where some group can win and another group can lose, and we're all on the cusp of losing together. And the beauty of that is it's creating an evolutionary pressure and an impetus for us to pop, a massive cultural pop, from a predominant win-lose consciousness into an all-win paradigm, right? And our political narrative, as it currently stands, is the perfect daily reinforcement. Take your medicine every day of that reinforcement of that win-lose culture. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy, there's a right group, there's a wrong group, there's a virtuous group, there's an evil group. It's that mechanism. It's not who is the virtuous group or the evil group. It's not who's got the better idea or the worser idea. It's the very fact that that judgment exists inside of us, that there is an other. And so at the center of the political system and the economic system and the cultural system, there's this switch. And the switch is from win-lose to all-win. And when we can flip that switch within us and come into relationship with other people that are committed to flipping that switch as well, and everybody in that room, because it's not a switch, it's a dial, right? Everybody in this room is already turning that dial. And nobody in this room is in the clear. Nobody's turned that dial so much that you can set it and forget it. There's actually a short shelf life on the all-win paradigm. It requires maintenance. Because if there's one person in this world that you think is the bad guy, that you think is the stupid group, that you think are the evil ones, that you think are the incompetent ones, that you think are the ones that need to be replaced, then that's an expression of that win-lose culture still living inside of you with the same amount of energy as it's living in the other people that you think are stupid for thinking that you're stupid. Right? So One Nation is a conversation about saying, okay, if we've got to rebirth this place, and Michael Jackson and Gandhi had it right all along, right? Be the change, man in the mirror, no thank you. Then what does it look like for us to go through our own individual transformational process such that we further ground in the establishment of the all-win paradigm ourselves, form relationships with other people that are making those same commitments so we can stabilize that culture, and then begin to provide leadership to the world through society and through media and through business and through government to be able to model and help to initiate our brothers and sisters around humanity into a new way of being. So, thank you. So where do we go? Like, how do we ground this? Okay, that's a lot of big words, and is that just where this conversation goes, or can we actually feel this hit the ground? I have a vision. My vision is that in 2022, we have a national mayoral campaign. Meaning we have a national campaign that's championing a new generation of mayors. And we have mayors running in cities, large and small, all across the country. And every single one of those campaigns is designed to initiate the people inside of those cities into the all-win paradigm, right? So there's intrinsic value in the campaign itself. And some of those are going to have electoral outcomes. And there's now going to be a new generation of mayors, supported by a national campaign, national media, national support for these individual mayors running over the place. And by that point, we've created full ballot access so that every single city in America has the opportunity of having a One Nation mayoral candidate right there on the ballot, integrating and meeting the world as it is. And then we can use some of those mayors that have that electoral outcome to begin using government to experiment with the regenerative technologies and practices that many of us are tracking, right? New agricultural systems, new waste management systems, new human development, trauma healing processes, new ways of social organizing, new ways of allocating resources in order to help to create an all-win city, right? We can actually use mayors and cities to experiment with and create proof of concept for the rest of the world that will be watching how we can do things in a new way. And if we just have one mayor stewarding that $800 million budget that they have, or the $1.4 billion budget that they have, starting to be able to use government to create legitimacy around regeneration and holism, then we can use that to start to be able to inspire mayors around the world, regardless of their party affiliation, of new ways of managing cities, new ways of helping to manage people. Okay, so if that's cool, if you're into that as an idea that would be a fun thing to be a part of, what do we do between now and then to make that a reality? In 2020, we are running what we call our all-win rebirth campaign. That's what we're calling it right now. It's a campaign that's designed to say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to abandon incremental change as a thing. It's time to abandon the two-party system as a thing. It's time to abandon win-lose. And it's time for us to rebirth and create new systems, new culture, and a new world. And that new world that we want to create is a world that works for all, where everybody wins. So we're calling that our all-win rebirth campaign. And it's a fusion of artists and events and media and celebrity support and enrolling existing governmental officials that are ready for a new paradigm, and the list goes on and on and on, and making that as provocative and robust of a burst as we possibly can. And we've got a lot of ideas about how to make that fun, and you all have some ideas too about how to make that like, boom. In that, we're launching the party. We're creating awareness of this conversation at a national scale for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people. And we're not even trying to change people. We're just putting out the bat signal and saying, who's into this? Who's sick of the win-lose narrative? And there's polls showing that up to 70% of Americans are asking for a new party, are asking for a new political discourse that doesn't revolve around straight narrative warfare and actually moves us into something that's solutionary. And not solutionary at the level of compromise, but solutionary at the level of creative thinking that allows everybody's voice to be heard and integrated as we form better solutions for our future. And so that's pretty much where I'm going to start to kind of wind down with this kind of opening space transmission. And just leave it at the fact that we're forming a new network. We're enrolling members to join and register and officially cross that threshold and say, I'm a member of this network. I'm a member of One Nation. I care about my individual politics, and I care about collective politics, and I can't participate in my integrity in the existing party system as it is. And I also don't feel like that as an ununified independent, I can create the impact I want to create. And I'm also not willing to abstain my participation. So I need something else. I need a space to be able to call my new political home. So we're weaving that network, we're building that network, and we're making a multi-decade commitment to be able to come together and say, we are willing to do something that isn't just about next quarter. It's not just about next year. It's not about instant gratification. It's actually a long-term commitment to organizing and a long-term commitment to societal rebirth. Thank you very much.